Watauga Arts Council with your host, Cherry Johnson, serving arts in Watauga County for more than 30 years.
Hello, I'm Cherry Johnson, Watauga County Arts Council, and this moment with the arts in Watauga County is brought to you by our dear friends at Green Mother Goods.
Did you know that every dollar spent locally multiplies 7 times before leaving our community? At Green Mother Goods, we have an array of local and global fair trade products, including quality handmade toys, soaps, jewelry, books, art, organic clothes, baby needs, bedding, kitchenwares, and decor, all supporting socially responsible, sustainable jobs here at home and worldwide, helping our customers become better stewards of the earth and creating a future we can be proud to pass on. Spend your dollar wisely and make change easy at Green Mother Goods.
Welcome, and I have with me today a real exciting read for you, or at least as a person responsible for an exciting read. This is Bart Bear.
Bart Bear.
Someone introduced me to him as Bear, and we've been talking about the Bear pronunciation for the last 5 minutes, and I got it all confused. But I am so glad to have you join me today.
Well, I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
And we want to talk to folks and introduce them to you. I had not met you before, which surprises me, considering that you're president of the High Country Writers.
Well, I just got elected as president, but I've been a member since 2000. Yes.
Really? You've been hiding. How long have you been writing?
I've been writing since 1997, just before, around the time I retired from teaching at Caldwell Community College.
Okay, so have you lived in this area for a while?
Yes, we moved here in 1968.
Oh, you have been here a while.
And my father's family is from Ashe County, and I've lived all over the South and part of the Midwest. And so we settled here. My wife and I loved it. She passed away in 2008, but I don't think I could ever have dragged her away from here. She's from Hamlet, North Carolina, down in the Sandhills. And,
that's funny.
But she grew to love these mountains, as do I.
That's wonderful. Now, you have, we're going to talk in a minute about your newest book, which is just coming out. But first, let's go back a little bit. You have written a couple of books. One of them I have with me here is entitled Girl.
Girl.
And it's set here in Watauga County?
Yes, it starts in Elizabethton, Tennessee, but quickly moves to Watauga County.
And give us a little synopsis of what it's about.
It's a story about a 14-year-old girl who's been very independent. Her mother's been sick for years, and the girl's been running the house. And but her mother passes away, and the story begins with the girl at a hearing where the judge has determined she's going to have to go into foster care. The girl doesn't want to do that because she's been running the house since she was like 11 years old. She's been writing a bill. She's been taking care of the cooking. She's very independent. She's an independent mountain girl. And but the courts won't bend to her will and insist that she go into foster care. So she flees the Elizabethton area and comes across the line to Watauga County and establishes herself as a boy and goes to high school as a boy.
To a different high school from our own Watauga High School.
Yeah, I started a new high school. It's called High Country High.
Okay, so all you kids, you just found out you're going to High Country High now.
Yeah. And so she goes to school there and has some interesting adventures, you can imagine. All of her friends are boys. They think she's a boy. Head cheerleader falls in love with her. She gets on the football team as the kicker. I work it out with the locker room. It works fine.
Oh, good. Okay.
And it's a fun read. I call it my Mary Poppins book because there's no murder, rape, or mayhem. And
is it a happy ending?
No, I want to give away the ending.
Oh, so you got to read to find out.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we go into the next book, where can other folks get a copy of this book? I mean, you've already fascinated them; they want to read it now.
The book's available through locally. You can get it at Black Bear Books. You can get it at Walden Books, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble. You can order it from Amazon online.
Oh, wonderful. Excellent.
It's published by Canterbury House Publishers, which is a local
publishing house.
Wendy Dingwall's business, and she's done me the great favor of publishing both of these books that we've got in front of us.
I'm excited about learning about this book some more. Now, this one, you went across from one side of the state to the opposite side of the state and down south. What, down in South Carolina?
South Carolina. Wadmalaw Island, which is one of the sea islands off of Charleston.
Right.
And a relatively undeveloped island compared to John's and St. James Island. And it's a ghost story that takes place there that bounces. It starts out in contemporary times. It bounces back to the pre-Civil War, come back to contemporary times, go into the Civil War, come back to. So it bounces back and forth. Deals with some issues relating to slavery and such as that. And like I said, it is a ghost story. These young couple purchases an old house on Wadmalaw Island. Come to find out they're not the only occupants. And then it turns out there are some ghostly creatures in the basement of their house. And there's also a demon that comes out in the form of a large cat, a black panther. And the demon is really intent on doing them harm. They have to struggle with the issues relating to having ghosts in their basement and the lethal demon on their property. And they do all right. They
work it out.
But they find out some very interesting things about themselves in the process, especially the woman, the main character in the book. And
now, I think you told me you taught psychology.
Yeah, I taught psychology.
Yeah. So, do you think that has that has worked its way into your books?
It could not have an effect. It could not have an effect on what we write. And I've although it's not something that I deliberately contrive.
Right.
I don't delve into, now let's see what psychological processes would be at work here. I don't do that. I just let the story go. It's interesting how the stories tend to write themselves.
You know, I've heard several authors say that.
And you find it's such fun. You find yourself writing along and just sort of following the way the story's leading you. I know that it comes from within yourself. I know this.
Right.
But it doesn't seem that way. It seems that the events that take place in the story seem to spontaneously create other things that happen. There are characters in both of these books that I had not planned on at all. And they started out and all of a sudden became major characters.
How interesting.
In the book. And in fact, two of the most, in each book, the spontaneous characters on which I had no plan became the most interesting characters in the books.
Fascinating.
And so,
do you ever find yourself unhappy with where the story's going?
Yes. What I'm doing now, it deals with the concentration camps, the Jewish prisoners.
Wow. Jewish
concentration camps in World War II, and it was difficult. I had a hard time writing it. It was very difficult for me to write that. It was so brutal and savage, and I don't enjoy that. But I want to try to create a picture of what it was actually like.
You had to be honest to the story.
Yeah, and so there's times when it's hard, and I've had to kill some people that I didn't want to kill, but it fit with the story, and so I did.
So did the characters become part of your life?
That's interesting question. Yes and no. Depends on what level. They become a part of my memory, yes. A part of my participative, ongoing day-to-day life, no. Yeah. But they're like real people to me.
Yes.
Yeah. They're like
people
real
you've known in your life.
People. In fact, I know them better than some real people who are actual acquaintances. Yes.
Wow. Now, we could go on because this is very interesting, but we're running out of time. But I want you to find out when you can get your hands on this book because it's just now being released.
The release date is March 1st, and it too comes from Canterbury House Publishers. They will have it at Black Bear Books. You can get it through Barnes & Noble.
And you have some signings coming up.
Yeah, I've got signings coming up at Crave on March the 18th.
Right.
And Bear Essentials is going to, we're having a tea.
Right, which ties into the story.
Wendy, the publisher, calls it a ghostly tea. and we will use some of the tea that comes from the Charleston tea plantation that's on Wadmalaw Island that is featured in the book. It's the only tea made in America, and it's the official tea of the White House.
Wow.
And so they're going to order some to serve at the Ghostly Tea on March 18th at Crave's.
That's wonderful.
And at Crave, I'm sorry. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, and then there will be, you told me there's a big special event in May coming up?
Yes, on Wadmalaw Island, we're having the regional book launch on the Charleston Tea Plantation because it is featured there in the book. And there's also a vineyard that's featured in the book, the Irvin House Vineyards on Wadmalaw, and I'm having a signing there in the last week in August. They're having a function, a grape stomp, they call it.
How wonderful.
Grape stomp.
That works.
And I'll have a signing there. So there's going to be a lot of activity, and at some of the libraries in Charleston area. We're going to market this book heavily in the Charleston area.
Oh, yeah,
and,
because it's...
Canterbury House is really involved in some very good marketing tactics.
Very good. Well, they're up and coming. We really watched them grow over the years. I've been real proud to see them do all the things they're doing. I hope you're fascinated and that you're wanting to get your hands on this book so they can start after March 1st and ask at Black Bear and see if they can get a copy then, or come to Crave on the 18th, was it?
18th of March. Right now it's set up for 3 to 5.
Okay.
3 to 5 in the afternoon. Yeah.
So you have a chance to meet Bart himself and maybe get his signature on your book.
Right.
So I really enjoyed meeting you and getting to know you. And
thank you very much. I enjoyed the opportunity to come here. I've heard a lot about you all, and you actually are here.
We are here.
Okay.
And you are too, and we're so happy to have you here and happy for all the things you're doing for writing in the high country.
Thank you.
Not just for yourself, but for other writers as well. So.
Thank you.
Get involved with this, and if you have an interest in the High Country Writers Society, you guys meet.
We meet on the second and fourth Thursdays at 10 o'clock at the Watauga Library.
And people can
And
come.
I have to say, if it weren't for the High Country Writers, I would not have these books done.
Interesting.
And
very interesting.
They are wonderful, wonderful people. They meant so much to me. It's like having a large family.
That's great.
It's like having 30 brothers and sisters.
Who all love to write.
And they all love to write. Now, actually, we've got more members than that, but on a regular basis, 30 or 40 people.
So if you'd like to join that group, I know it's an open invitation that people can come and be a part of it. I encourage you to get involved in some aspect of the arts this year. Check our website for links to this and many other things throughout the community. The arts are exciting in Watauga County. Get involved.
Watauga Arts Council with your host, Cherry Johnson, serving arts in Watauga County for more than 30 years.